Hi guys, welcome to this session in Microsoft Excel. In this module, I want to cover filters. So basic filters, more advanced filters, and the filter function, and then advanced filter feature. So first of all, basic filters. Now this table here is just a colored table that I have added. If I just get rid of this color for a second so you can see this a little bit better. And put the font to black. So there's a table. Now, one way of getting filters onto the screen is to format your data as a table, which is this feature here. And these are just different styles that you can select. So I'll just pick one of these. It's saying my table has headers with a tick on it. So it's picking that up, which is great. So I'll just click OK like that. It applies the colors and it applies these filters. It gives you the option to select from this list. I'll go through this in a second. Now, the benefit of doing that is you have this tab appearing, table design, with all these little features. If I tick that one, for example, it's going to give me a summary row. Let's go for average age there. You can tick that on or off. You've got the option of putting slices on a formatted table. I'll just do it for grade, course attended, so you see how this works. So these are still filters, and a lot of people like these. Normally you get exposed to these when you do a pivot table. Here you can see you can use them on a formatted table, and it's a case of just clicking on what you want, and then it just filters in place, and you clear the filter by the small red crosses in the top right hand corner to bring everything back. Now, with a formatted table, you also have it dynamic in that if you add a column, if I just put test there, it will automatically pick up the same style. If I add a new record at the bottom there, it will do the same at the bottom. This is an entity. If I go back to table design, you can give it a name. It's called table one at the minute, but you could call it whatever you want in there and then refer to it as that name. If you do a formula, if I go equals that plus 10, for example, it will cascade that formula down the whole table structure like that. So that's a one way of using filters. Formatting as a table, you get this option. Now, to do it yourself, if I go on to, I'll go back a page, go back onto this one. To put filters on yourself, you can do it like this. So I'm going to the data tab. You can also get it from the home tab. I come onto the data tab because you get all these filter and sort features here. So I'm going filter on. It's picking that up. I didn't highlight anything. Look, I was just sat in the table. It picks it up, and then it works like this. If you want to see, in this example, everybody who attended a leadership course, you drop the arrow down for course attended, you take the tick off select all, and you tick leadership. Then you click OK, and then it filters it in place. And down the bottom left hand corner, it's telling you down here that you've got 7 of 21. That's the answer. Now, you should always clear a filter once you've got the answer, which I will do with this little tool. Clear, bring that back. Now, if you want to interrogate multiple columns, let's say I want all females that did equal ops training, you can go to gender, for example, in this one. Just need to take M off, so it's just got F selected, females. There's all the females, there's 9 females. You only want the ones that did equal ops, so I'm going, dropping that down, picking that off, taking that select all off, picking equal ops, clicking OK, and it tells me that there were 2 females that did equal ops training. And again, I must clear that off. So that's a standard filter. Now, there are lots of other filters you can utilize. So I want to have a look at the date filter, the number filter, and the text filter in these 3 columns I'm just highlighting now. So first of all, the date filter. Now, if I want to, let me just click off this a minute. Let's look at these dates. So we've got the 23rd of July, 24, going up to the 4th of August, 24. Let's go down there. Let's say I want to select a date range. If I hover over date filters, you've got a whole array of different options there. And the one I tend to go for is between. So if I go for today's date, And next one down, if I go for, say, the 28th, those 2 dates, because I've used the between option, it's already got the right information in these boxes on the left. I click OK, it filters that for me. And again, I'm going to go clear, and that brings that back. So if I drop that little arrow down again, and go back to date filters, you can see there's all of these other ones. And if you're not sure, you can go right down to the very bottom where it says custom filter, and then you get into this box yourself. And then it's a case of selecting the right thing on the left hand side to get the answer you need. You've also got date boxes on the right, which gives you the option of picking a date from this rather than typing one or selecting one. The date range you might want might not be in this list, so you would then have to select it from either this date picker or you'd type it in there. Just cancel that one off. Now, number filters, I want to see everybody that's over 50 but under 60. Let's have a look at this one. Drop the arrow down. Again, if I went for the ticks, it would work. This is only a small table. I'll probably get away with that. But if there was 10,000 records, I'm bound to miss some ticks. So it's not practical to go through all the records, ticking things on and off. Number filters is where you need to go. Now, the one you want may well be in this list, greater than, less than, etc. But I'm going down to this bottom option so you can see how this is used. Custom filter. So greater than 50. So I'm going is greater than, and then I'm typing 50, which is what I wanted. And then underneath is less than 60. Type in 60 and click OK to that, and it gives me 3 people. And again, I'm going to clear that off like so. Now, ID number, same thing. I want all the IDs that start with CU and end with XZ. Now, I know there's only 2, but let's pretend there's more than that. I'm going there. Again, I'm going to text filters, down to the bottom, custom. So there's a few options I'm going to use here. I'm going to look at these 2 things as well. So first of all, in this list, you've got begins with. So if I go for begins with, that one begins with CU, it's not case sensitive, and ends with, a bit further down, ends with XZ. Click OK to that. It should pick up those 2, which it does. Now, if I clear that one off for a second and just do that again with a different option, text filters, custom. So I could have gone CU asterisk, which if you look at that there, any character, any number of characters, XZ. And let's see what that does. That does the same thing. Now the question mark that's in that list is a little bit more fiddly, I think. I'll go back into it, custom, because you'd have to do a question mark for every character, and you can see that some of these are different sizes, so that would be quite hard to do. But you could use that one. The asterisk would also work if you just typed a letter and then the asterisk would pick up anything beginning with C, for example. Let's do that one, C asterisk. Okay, so there's all the C's. Clear that one off. So that's the basic filter with some additional interrogation from the actual date, number, and text filter options. Now, if I go on to the filter function, so there is a filter function depending what version of Excel you've got, which works like this. So same sort of list. If I type a grade in there and press enter, it's going to filter in place like that. Now this is using the filter function, and you can see how this is working. So this blue area is formatted as a table. I haven't called it anything. It's called table 15. So if I do call that something, let's try data. I'm already using data, I knew that. So I'll call it my name. I'm already using my name, and I'll call it Bob. I can call it Bob. You can only use one name once in a file. Anyhow, now let's see if I can do this down here. So let's get myself a colored area. So paint pot, go for orange, and in there I'm going to do a data validation list, which is going to give me the three options that I've got there. So EO, AO, and AA, I think it is. Now, data validation, it's on the data tab. Validation, there we go. And it's on any value. I want it on lists. Now you can select a list, but there's only 3 items, so I'm just going to type it AA, comma, AO, comma, EO. That'll do. Okay, let's check that's working. I'll pick one of them. So underneath, I'll now do the filter function that's going to look at that. So it's going to be equals filter, open the bracket. So the array is a table, so I'll just select the table. It's picking up Bob, comma. The column is the grade column. And then I just need to go equals where I've got my options in there. So I tick that, it just filters that in place. If I select somebody else or some other grade, it filters that in place as well, like so. So that's the filter function that you can utilize depending on what version of Excel you've got. It's not available in every version. It's definitely available in Office 365. Now this next one is doing a few different things. I've got some option buttons here where I can click and it's doing the filter function on this list. Let's make this a little bit bigger. It's doing the filter function on this list based on what I select on here. Now, how this is working, if you look at the formula, it's got filter. That's why I couldn't use data because I've already called that data. It's using the switch function. Now, the switch function is swapping this number to a word. So if I look at that, look. So F1 says 1. And if it says 1, the switch function is changing that to the word north. And that's what the filter function is using to filter north. And this one says, if it comes back with 2, so if I tick that, coming back with 2, that needs to be switched to south, and 3 east and 4 west, and so on and so on. That's how that's working. Now, where these live, if I just show you, the option group is on the developer tab. And if you haven't got that tab, you need to right click on any other tab and customize ribbon, and then just tick it on developer. Just tick it on. Cancel that for a minute. And then in the middle, you've got these controls, and in there, insert at the top, form controls. There's your little option button. You click on that. It does a little drawing like that. You need to right click on it, format control, and then you've got this option of cell link. Now it's picking up that same link as before. I can't really change that because all these will change, but if I leave it on that, it's going to put a 5 in there because that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 hasn't got a switch option on it, so it won't do anything, but you'll see how it works. I'm going to leave it like that. Click OK, click off that. Now if I click that on, it's put 5 in there. 5, there's no switch going there for a 5, so I'll just put that back. So that's how you do that. And then to get the switch to change it, if I just let me get rid of this, just right click, delete. So if I put a 1 in there and then use the switch function. So if I go equals switch, open the bracket, whatever goes in there, comma, so if it's a 1, comma, I want it to say Steve, comma, if it's a 2, comma, I want it to say Bill. And then I'm just going to close the bracket on that, click the tick, let's see what happens there. So it says Steve, I change that to 2, it says Bill. That's all the switch function does. So I'll get rid of those 2. So what's going on in here? You've got the normal filter, and the region is these sort of cities, I think. That's city, no, that's region, should I say. Must be the whole column. The whole column is the region. Okay, so it's got filter looking at data, that's the table, looking at region, if it equals the switch, and then I've done all of that. which I'm not going to do again because I've just shown you that step by step. And then the graph is looking at this area here. So that's using the filter function with the switch function. Now, in older versions of Excel where you haven't got the filter function, you can still get it to do something similar to this, where I've got this option here, demo, advanced filter. There's my data. What you have to do is create a little area at the top here where you can ask criteria. Now, I've already put some criteria in there. You need to put the criteria for each element. So I've got males for each of these three grades, and this is how this one would work. Going back to the data tab, going to advanced filter. Now this is already filled in, look, I've got it filter in place, so it's going to do it there. It's got the list range, which is this table, and the criteria area is this area here. Now you need a blank line between the two. You have to have a blank line between the two. And then if I click OK to that, it will just filter that in. Now if I put age, let's go for greater than 30. Now I'll have to do that for each one, otherwise it'll do whatever it wants for the other rows. Now if I run it again, advanced, OK, and that brings it down again and again. And then you could do it for a section or whatever you want. And again, clear that off and it brings it all back. Now, if you want to put that somewhere else, there is an option for that. If I go back into advanced and copy it, and then give you that option there to put it somewhere else, I'll put it down here. It's already in the right place. And then you just click OK. And then that information gets filtered down there based on whatever you've got selected at the top. And you can clear that off and clear that off and clear that off. Ready to go from scratch. And if you don't want this anymore, so this could be on a different sheet. If you don't want that, you can just get rid of that as well. So that's ready to go. Remember, you've got only one blank line between the two sets of tables. So you're basically asking 3 questions here in this list. So that's basically all I want to talk about in this little video. How you can do filters. So we've done basic filters. We've done filter by selection, if you like, using data from a date table or date list, a number list, and a text list. We've also looked at the filter function. We've looked at it with the switch function, and then we've done this little dynamic advanced filter at the end there. So hopefully all of this has been of use. Thank you for your time. I'll catch you in the next one.